Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm the Innkeeper, and today I would like to welcome you all back to another Stonehearth time-lapse. Today we are building a Mead Hall. This is something that I finally got round to doing. I was exercising, as it were, my building abilities with the first two buildings being the Nordic Tower and the Nordic House, or at least a version of the Nordic houses, of which there will probably be many versions of. So, don't worry, it's not going to be just one. We'll make a few. I mean, they'll probably be quite similar, to be honest, but we'll get there. I'm sorry today, but for some reason I'm all of a sudden out of breath. I don't know why. I was doing some exercising before starting. I've just finished some Stonehearth. Not some Stonehearth, some shopkeep. What I'm doing right now is Stonehearth. What I just did was shopkeep, so for some reason I'm a little bit out of breath. I don't know why. Well, I did run up and down the stairs a few times. I do that a lot. Maybe I shouldn't. One day I'm going to fall through it, and it's going to be horrible and grotesque. Anyway, yes. As you can probably tell, the Mead Hall is very important to me. Okay, I'm very excited. Well, I was very excited to build it. It did take quite a while, actually. About... How long did it actually take? I should really have double-checked before I start spouting, but it took a little while. I say total recording time was about 1 hour, 30 minutes. The actual building process was about 3 hours, I believe. The whole build, anyway. I think it was about that long. Because obviously I went back and tried a few other things here and there, and this was sort of the ultimate design, as it were, that I felt was pretty good. I didn't finish the other ones. You just sort of start off with something that's pretty cool, and eventually you sort of just you don't like it as much, so you go away from it. This one doesn't really involve a main entrance, though. As you can probably tell, there is another entrance on the back, and it's going to be a very much mirrored effect as well. It's not going to be slightly different here and there. Maybe I should do that, actually. It probably would give it a little bit more of a disjointed effect. I might try that. I'm not too sure. I'm wondering what you guys think about, or you people think about, or you lot. I don't want to say you guys. I don't know. I mean, maybe the ladies watching. I mean, I know you guys is mostly a sort of weird... Not weird. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, the people that are watching, right? Yeah. What are your thoughts on there being two entrances? Or would you prefer one? I don't know. To be honest, there's not too much I can really do about it now, because otherwise I'd have to completely strip the entire house. Since the first floor does use the normal Stonehearth wall building tool, so you can't get rid of those with a rubber, unfortunately. Maybe in the future they will allow that, but for now, it's not really something we can work around, unless, of course, we try and add ourselves another entrance in the front, sort of in the middle of the two buildings. Maybe just have another sort of more prominent, sort of towered building that's squared off from the rest of the structure, like we have right here with the two entrances. Might be something we can do. Of course, there will be another wall, though, to get through until they get into the grand hall area. And as you can see, that's very large. You will see a little bit at the end of the video just showing off the scale of the structure. I mean, it didn't end up being as big as I was really expecting, but it's definitely bigger than the tower. Well, it's not taller than the tower, but it's obviously bigger than the tower, really, scale-wise. And it is bigger than the main house. However, I feel like the main house might be a little bit too big. I did have a look at it, and something about that main house is just... It could be a bit smaller, in my opinion. So I might try something a little bit smaller in the next housing builds that I do try to create in the series, just because, well, it's too big, as I just said. There's no way it would fill up that much space. I feel like maybe the next one could be not 2 times as small, but definitely sort of 3/4 of the current design. I do try to make a little bit of an effort to try something a bit different this time. Right now, this is my sort of attempt of trying to make a sort of little roof stick out from every front-facing wall that we have. Unfortunately, it doesn't really work out, and I end up going for just having the roof skirt, just skirt along the side of the wall, all the way across, at least on the first floor. On the second floor, it doesn't do that. I mean, it does it to a degree, but not to... Actually, I believe it doesn't do that. I think it just has a normal roof. I can't remember. I should really have an image of it right next to me. But I did this yesterday, and I'm now doing the recording. Actually, it wasn't yesterday. It was Monday, so it's Wednesday now. So yeah, 2 days ago, I've actually had the chance to do the recording. So I can't remember it exactly, and I should have really looked at an image. So I'm just sort of I can't remember what my thought process was. I remember generally what I'd done. There you go. Apparently, I'm terrible at preparing things. I'm sorry, okay? This is not a new thing, of course. I do make a considerable effort to stick to the traditional design that we have right here, being with the sort of lighter log-type wood that we have for the main walls, followed by the dark wood to be used as roof, and then a nice little decorative block being the sort of brown that we have right there. Usually what I do with, well, it's a particular tile set that we have with the Nordic designs. Unfortunately, not as varied as I would say with the sort of Japanese design, or Asian design that we went for with the Tree Blossom series. However, I do think it still works, even if the variety's not there. You could still see the details, the finer details. I actually screw up the block type right there, as you can see. I do change that later on for those that are wondering. It's not going to stay like that. But I do like the design that I've got right here, being to actually accentuate the way the walls actually sort of tack away from one another. Tack, is that the right word? Just go away from one another in order... What am I trying to say? It's a design that I do quite enjoy. Once again, it does add an aesthetical quality to it, and it also sort of separates the roofs just a little bit. Just to add another level of detail, of layers, which is definitely something I do like. I think I do notice that color differentiation in the block right there, and just now, there we go, I notice it. There we go. Now I'm just watching myself and be like, okay, what did I think at this point on? Yeah, I find it difficult to explain myself. I try my best, but there's only so far I can really go, I suppose, with the artistry. I make myself sound a bit too grandiose than I actually am anyway. This I'm just lining everything up to make sure it is all correct. Usually in my builds, I screw up the numbers a little bit. I'm not exactly great with the whole numbers game. I mostly wing it, to be honest with you, and then if I make a mistake, I try and work around that. Usually it works out. If anything, I'm great at fixing my mistakes. Unfortunately, those fixes may also make more mistakes. Maybe I'm not actually that great. I don't know. Anyway, now to do the other side, as I said in the start of this video, is a mirrored effect. And it's going to be the same for at least the first layer. The second layer, there is going to be a few variations here and there, but following the mirrored design, I do try to keep a level of symmetry with my builds, just because I think it looks nice and tidy, and that's something that maybe I shouldn't really be going for. Then again, the asymmetry, I mean, the asymmetry is not something I really do with buildings. I just don't think it's natural for a building to be all over the place, to be honest with you. The only time I've ever done anything asymmetrical is with terrain. You had a little S right there, sounded like I cut things up. I didn't do that. No, yeah. With normal terrain and trees, that kind of stuff is where asymmetry really starts to come in handy there. Just because, I mean, having an even tree looks really weird. Having an even, like, just a sphere of terrain, that looks really, really strange. I haven't really done too much when it comes to terrain work with Stonehearth. I might try something with that once they allow you to use the blocks in, well, the tile blocks with the terrain in Stonehearth eventually. That'd be really cool, actually. I might try and make a few cool things like mountains or maybe riverbeds. Try for a more geography-based building sessions, just because I think it would be quite interesting to see. Anyway, back to the topic at hand, the Mead Hall. What did I call it first? It's the Mead Hall, that's what I was meant to say. It's a grand hall where they feast and call upon barbarian lords to strike the enemies upon them, and also to host grand occasions. You know, it's all that fun stuff. Well, I did say that I wanted to make a grand tour, and I did start making one at the start of the session, but it was ugly. Well, the start of the season, welcome to North Point. It was just absolutely atrocious. This, however, does look really nice. I'm quite proud of it. We're not there yet, but the top of the building really does start to show a lot of... I mean, it's very big. It's very big, is what I'm... Well, it's not what I'm trying to say, but it is a very large structure, and definitely shows the greatness of the Nordic people that do control it, or have built it anyway, the architectural prowess. Here I start to add a few extra bits to the second floor. I was originally going for just a straight roof design, but we had those little bits just sticking out, so I added a little roof with a window. I mean, it's not a proper Stonehearth window, it's my own sort of just a hole. And then I added sort of a few stilts right there with some of the brown blocks, just adding a bit more detail to the roof, just going down. I try a few different designs there. I end up just sort of going straight down. It looks quite nice and definitely makes the roof on the flat layer right there just a little bit more detailed. I do screw up a little bit with the window there, as you could probably tell. Oh, I've seen. It's numbers game, once again. Going to do the same thing on the other side. And it does end up working out in the end, although it does end up being maybe a little bit lower, maybe a block lower than it could have been. It still works, but, you know, it could have been a block higher, maybe. Maybe. It's a possibility. It still works out. It's just it works out until I make the roof look a little bit bigger, and then it starts to look a little bit odd after that point. The roof does end up peaking somewhat, and also end up making quite a nice sort of roof. Once again, I can't remember the name of the little bit that sticks out on the end of the roof, but I do end up making quite a nice design that I am quite proud of. Probably because the scale of the building is pretty much perfect for a roof that looks good. Just take a drink for a second. I haven't stopped talking. I do these recordings in just one big take. I'm watching the video right now and just sort of remembering my thought process, and that's that. There we go. That is that. That is what is going on right there. I mean, I want to do a bit of talking, a little bit of explanation. If you don't want that, just mute it. There we go. I think that's the easiest way to do things, to be honest with you. Just talk over it. The people that don't want to hear it can just mute it, put some music on in the background, nice and simple, or just look at the end and see the final product. I think this bit, the entire time lapse is really only for people that are maybe enthusiasts of building in games, or just like to see something unfold, really. Which I do, I might add. I'm definitely one of those people. I mean, I like to make the kind of content that I would watch, and this is it, really. Just time lapses. It's pretty cool. Lots of work put into it, of course, but it's all worth it in the end, almost definitely, when you see the final product. Especially since this all ends up going into the main series, and we have actually successfully done that, although at the beginning of episode 5, I really do show my fullest ability to be unaware, let's say. I wouldn't say it was idiocy. I was quite tired at the time, but I'm not going to use it as a complete excuse. It was a bit funny, so there we go. Very funny. I even laughed about it afterwards. It was pretty good. Oh, not good. It was stupid. But there we go. I'm working on, I believe, the main... Oh, no, this is the main roof. Okay, so we've got this layer right here. It does go back a little bit more, but the main roof does go slightly over this second one that I'm making right here. Once again, showing several... Not once again, but I'm showing several layers as we get higher. I've got multiple designs. I've, once again, you know, done a little bit of work on it, as it were, just to see all the different designs. And I've come up with sort of a multi-layered, but yet quite sort of traditional long-roofed design. That kind of thing with the peaks. Not really the peaks, but, well, yeah, it's got a peak on the roof, but it's not pointy. I mean, a peaked roof just for me sounds like it would have a point in the center, but there you go. That's not really what I mean. It's traditional design, though. Definitely a lot of influence from... What the hell's a building type called? I don't know. There's a building that has a Nordic hall, as it were, that has multiple... It looks like there's lots of buildings added onto it. It's quite interesting. Definitely a lot of designs from that, but also a lot from Skyrim as well. I mean, a lot of designs come from Skyrim in this anyway. It's sort of traditional Nordic design. Most people, you know, are probably going to think of a game, and that game is probably going to be Skyrim, representing the Nordic people, as it were. So there's definitely a lot of influence from that. I wouldn't say there was too much, though. I do try and add my own little spin onto things, not just sort of copy and paste things all the way. Not all the time. Actually, I do try and add my own little bit to it. Otherwise, you don't learn. You just copy and paste things. It might end up being a bit cooler because people can associate that build with something and be like, oh, yeah, they built that. That was really cool. But, you know, I feel like you really do improve on your building skills when you actually add your own little bit to it. Even if it's just something a little bit small, as long as it's cool and it works with the design, then, you know, more power to you, I would say. Just adding more of the brown bricks right there. Going for the normal roof design that we have with the main house. Although it is a little bit thicker, I've done that. I've added a bottom layer just to make the roof more accentuated. Once again, a word like there that I love to use, apparently. It's the only word I can apparently come up with. It does look a little bit bigger, though. And, well, you can notice the roof a little bit more when you look at it from a certain angle, rather than it just looking like a thin bit of wood that was just slabbed on the end and could probably be poked through with a single finger. We don't want that. Now, this is where I start to make the top roof just look a little bit thicker. I do follow the same design with the edges of the roof right in. I end up putting the peaks in at the end of the video. Pretty much, I believe, just after I finished doing this. And as you can see, I did say that the roof does get a little bit thick, and it ends up working a bit negatively with that little design right there, because you end up being, well, with the little design, it ends up working a bit awkwardly with the other roof that we have in the middle. I do end up sort of cutting it off slightly with some brown blocks, and it does end up working rather well, because there's a nice little sort of pattern that connects up to the peaks of those roofs with the brown block, which is quite nice. I'm just adding a few windows right here, seeing what design I do like. By the way, this is going at 8 times speed, so sorry if it's too fast for some people. I mean, it's a time lapse. I don't really want it to be any more than 20 minutes, and if I can't help it, then it probably just ends up being a 2-parter, to be honest with you, or I just sort of skip most bits. It probably would be the case. I'd skip a good amount of it. Then again, if a building's big enough, I'd rather sort of have it in segmented parts that are easily viewed, I suppose. And then the last video would have the main build in its full glory. Just doing a little bit of details on the bottom floor right here. I could have probably done a better job with this, but I guess it just seemed simplistic and fine. I didn't feel like I needed to add anything else to it. I couldn't do any windows on these second floors, but I don't feel like I really needed to. It's not really showing enough of the building to really require a window. And obviously, there's no second floor, really. There's just multiple layers to make the hall seem quite grand on the inside, which you will see. I haven't actually added anything in there, because that's going to be for the series. I saved quite a lot during this. I found that just saving a lot and pasting the building in every now and again seems to stop that bug that for some reason randomly, well, stops you from ever doing anything at all that comes out of nowhere. Just, it seems to stop it. I say stop it, but I didn't have any problems with that bug when I tried doing that. And I saved I don't know, so whenever I remembered. When I remembered to save, I saved. There wasn't really any timing to it. Here I actually make the peaks. I did do the peak off camera. Well, not off camera, but I cut it off because it took too long. I was working on so many different designs, and I ended up coming up with something that was quite cool. So you can already see the peak just spawn right there. It did take a while. So, I mean, I tried to show the bit where I built it, but it was too quick. So there we go. It looks quite fantastic. But there we are. I am showing you. I'm showing me building it now, though. So there we are. It's pretty good. And because of the size of the building, it just works out really well. And as you can see, this is the final structure right here. And it's very wide. And I think that does work in its favor. And as you can see, the hall is massive. Absolutely huge. Although I do miss a few bits, as you can see right there, that I do need to fill in. And I do end up doing that. So that is fine. Nothing to worry about. I believe I did it. Actually, I don't think I did. So that's going to have to be something I do on the series, if I remember. I think I will end up getting around to that. Some people requested that I do a build where the Hearthlings do all the work. I don't think I can reiterate this enough. They can't do it. The AI are incapable of building things like this at the moment. It's just not there. So I feel like that's the 100th time I've said it. People really want to see the Hearthlings do something. Don't get me wrong. I do as well. I spawn these things in not because I'm lazy, but because they are hard. No, because they're just, they can't do it. And here's a representation right here of the size differences. Like I said, the house is just a bit too big. I think the hall still looks grand, don't get me wrong. It's still a very large building that is differentiating itself from all the other structures. And when you look at it, you think, yep, that's the main place. At the same time, though, the buildings around it just sort of diminish its value just a very, very little bit. And the tower right there is already meant to be taller than it anyway. So that's fine. I got some roads in there as well, just to show just how big it is in comparison to roads. And it looks quite nice. I do like the idea of it having an entrance on both sides, though, because it means you can actually have it in the middle of your, well, in the middle of the town, essentially, which should look quite nice. I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing next, though. That's the Mead Hall, though, ladies and gentlemen. That's the Mead Hall. There we go. Don't know why I'm stuttering a little bit there. There we go. Fantastic. Anyway, next, I don't know. We will probably just do another house, but I might try for a smaller design, or I might do a boat. The problem with doing a boat, though, is we're not really going to use it. Let's be honest. I don't think I can even put a boat in the water, or a build in the water anyway, so we won't even be able to paste it in. But I might just make a boat to make a boat, because it would be kind of cool to see a boat in Stonehearth. There you go. Anyway, feel free to like, share, and subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow me on Twitter for updates on my channel and Twitch for live streams. If you've not watched the Stonehearth Welcome to North Point series, then I encourage you to do so. However, if you don't like stupid things happening, then maybe not. Then again, that only happened once. That one time! One time, okay? I'll never live it down. Maybe not the one time. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.